Welcome to Abiding Hysteria, the monthly podcast where women and gender-diverse people tell their healthcare stories. I'm your host, Rachel Woodard. For info about my healthcare journey and why I decided to do this podcast, check out our episode 0. If you'd like to know about upcoming episodes and more, follow us on social media at Abiding Hysteria. If you'd like early access to uncut episodes with bonus content, become a patron for only $5 a month at patreon.com/abidinghysteria. Today's episode features Liana McKenzie, a transgender woman and my personal friend who is here to discuss her transition care in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States, as well as telling her colon cancer survival story. And now, dear listeners, please join me and Liana McKenzie in this episode of Abiding Hysteria. So we have with us today Liana McKenzie. Welcome to the podcast.
There, happy to be here.
So we brought you on today to talk about a couple of different journeys in the United States healthcare system. Which would you like to start with first?
Oh, goodness. I guess probably we can do this chronologically. So we can go into trans femme healthcare, and then we can go into cancer treatment, which is always a fun topic.
Perfect. So let's start first with just tell us a little about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Hi there, my name is Liana McKenzie. I go by she, her pronouns. I am a kind of a sourcing and procurement specialist by day. And then I also run a small tabletop indie studio. So I do a lot of like game design and stuff like that, and spend a lot of money to make my small business go, which is always exciting. I am a trans woman, so I transitioned during the pandemic when I was suddenly trapped alone in the house with my own thoughts and couldn't ignore certain things any longer, despite having kind of set up my entire life to run from it. So I'm also officially now a cancer survivor. I just finished up my treatment and actually just got the all clear from my doctor. So it's super, super exciting to
That is
not
super
have
exciting.
to do chemotherapy anymore.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so happy for you. That is such good news. So yeah, let's just start from the beginning and kind of go from there. So tell us about what brought you to transitioning and specifically how your community was prepared for these sorts of transitions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am incredibly lucky. I reside in the state of Washington, near the city of Seattle, which we are very progressive here. My coming out wasn't a huge disruption. All of my friends were super supportive. I actually grew up with a bunch of guy cousins. We were always the boys, according to my father, which was not entirely accurate, but we didn't quite understand at the time. And all of my cousins were like ride or die for me immediately. Like we've always been super close. We grew up, we would play Magic the Gathering and then later Legend of the Five Rings card games together. And we would play Smash Brothers a lot together growing up. So we would always like game together, watch anime together, all sorts of other fun things.
I love that.
My cousin, the closest in age to me, actually offered to quote, punch an uncle again if he had to, which of course led to the question, wait, again? But he's always been a punk, but he's my punk and I love him. So everyone was super supportive. Getting healthcare actually was not difficult. At the time, I believe I was on my wife's insurance, and she of course was also super supportive, thankfully. And that's been a very positive journey for the both of us. But got me in to see counseling. It took me about a month to finally admit that I was feeling what I was feeling, because I kind of, as I mentioned earlier, I'd sort of structured my entire life around kind of ignoring this big lingering thing. It's always been present and it's always been something I've struggled with, but just kept pushing that down because that always works, right?
Right.
And so I got counseling and therapy. I got to see a very nice therapist. And she kind of gently like led me where she, I think, knew pretty much from the start I was going. Got me a formal diagnosis with gender dysphoria. Set me up with Swedish healthcare, actually, is who I've been primarily going for, both for this and for my cancer treatment, actually. So, and they've been excellent. They've been wonderful. So set me up with a doctor who it was kind of a nice little story because she had some experience managing gender transition, but she never started it. So I was kind of her first.
Oh, cool.
And it went really well with me. So she ended up actually servicing a lot of trans people in the community just because there is such a high demand for that and not a lot of professionals who can do it. So hopefully I changed her career trajectory for the better. But she was great. She's since moved on, but I've got another doctor at Swedish who's also wonderful. But it was very easy. It was like a quick questionnaire. It's like, yep, that's gender dysphoria. All right. So here's the long list of side effects of what taking estrogen will do to you. And I'm like, oh, these sound great. I guess I am trans. It's like, what, this is supposed to make me like not want to do this? No, this sounds awesome. So really, like, because of the region I live in and the sort of the access to healthcare that I do have, being kind of upper middle class, having a good paying job with good insurance, it's been super easy. And it's honestly like frustrating to me that every trans person can't just have this, because it's without the horrendous barricades that I know a lot of other states put up. It was very affirming and validating, and it was really nice to just be able to go in and get it done and manage the social stuff on my own, which, and again, having, I guess, picked good company, all my friends were very supportive and very encouraging. And it's like, why can't everyone have this? I really wish that they could, because I know I am tremendously lucky due to the place and the resources. And it makes me sad because I know, having talked to a lot of other trans people in other states, that is not common, especially too, because they've decided to make us a social issue, which is always exciting.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
1,000-yard stare here as I contemplate my existence as a political football.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's just it. Like, a lot of us, we just want to live, right? It's like, just give us our meds and leave us alone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. There's a lot of chronic pain patients out there with the same attitude. Like, just, we're surviving because of these meds and there's shortages everywhere. And we just want to take what we've been taking for the last, 10 years and leave us alone.
Yeah, I've gotten to see that firsthand since my wife does have chronic pain as well. Yeah. And it's absurd. Like, yeah. The hoops that she has to run through to get medicines that she needs, that she's been on forever.
Oh, for sure. I've definitely been there.
I don't have to struggle to get my meds. It's kind of to my surprise.
Yeah.
Like I just have a long-standing diagnosis. They have me on a set refill and I'm good to go. And like, I'm lucky too in that my body particularly takes to the hormones quite well. So good. I don't need a lot of them.
That's nice.
Like, I don't even need to get a shot for my estrogen. I just take like 3 pills, which is a low end of the dosage.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, I am on less androgen suppressants than many cis women.
Wow.
Because like some cis women might have like PCOS or other kind of hormonal related issues. And they are literally on a higher dosage of testosterone suppressants than I am, which is kind of weird.
That's why I can't understand why a lot of women are against like the hormonal therapy for transgender people, because like if you're on hormonal birth control, you're on the same thing just about, and possibly a higher dose than even a trans person would be on for transitioning. Uh-huh. It just baffles my mind. And so many people are on like hormonal birth control for PCOS, yet it can't be understood that birth control and HRT and that sort of thing are healthcare, are necessary healthcare to keep people functioning and alive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, I didn't ask for this, right? Like, if I had my way, I would have just been born a cis woman. But
yep.
I drew that lucky card out of the pile, so I guess I'm spending thousands of dollars lasering hair off my face.
Yep. So let's transition then from from your transition experience to your most recent healthcare experience with dealing with the cancer diagnosis and everything. So when did you first learn that you were having some health issues or got the diagnosis?
So I'd been struggling for, God, about a year at that point. I'd been having persistent stomach pain and I was getting increasingly anemic. And the fact that like they initially to treat it, they're like, here, have some iron supplements that should fix you up. You're a bit anemic. And my blood levels kept going down every time they checked it, which they were actually checking frequently because again, with the trans healthcare, because I was on maintenance and I'm still relatively new. I've been transitioned for 3-ish years now. I like to say being trans saved my life a lot more literally than a lot of people mean. Because I was on those regular check-ins, my doctor was like, okay, there's something wrong here. Your blood count is constantly dropping, and that's bad. And here is where I ran into the wonders of the American health system. Am I allowed to call out certain companies, or should I keep that under wraps?
I don't have any reason why not to. You're welcome to say whatever you need to say here. This is a safe space and also an adult space, as it were.
So I had United Healthcare at the time, and they are not great, we shall say. It took a long time to get my tests approved, and they kept kind of giving me the runaround, like, oh, you can't get your test here where they're ready to take you. You need to wait 2 months and go to this other place that's within your network, in-network being just such an incredible racket. And it definitely delayed me at least a few months. And
your princess is in another castle situation.
Right, exactly. Where it's like, well, do you need this test? And it's like, I am in pain increasingly all the time. My blood count is dropping precipitously. Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah.
And like, it took, cause like they had me get a CT first, and then finally they got me in for a colonoscopy. And they're like, yeah, so cancer? And that wasn't even on my radar. Like, we had no idea what was going on. Like, we were thinking, maybe I had some kind of an autoimmune or something. Or like I had like some kind of an ulcer or something that was bleeding. And it's like, no, you got a tumor. And it's like, oh shit.
Oh, wow.
And they pretty much like, once they got those colonoscopy results, again, Swedish healthcare, who's been excellent for me, which I have always really appreciated that. They're like, so we're going to schedule you for surgery in like a week or two. And here was another fun part. Like, I also lost my job because like I had cancer.
Oh, no.
And I was also needing to work like 16 hours a day at the job that I had. So it was just completely destroying my health even further. So I was out of a job at the time. Fortunately, I have some connections with where I'm currently contracting at Starbucks. And they're like, yeah, we'll get you in. So like 3 days before I go in for my colon surgery, they're like, yeah, just start up and then you can take your week and a half or whatever to recover from surgery, and then you can come back and it'll be good. So they were super awesome with that. And so, yeah, I went
That's
in.
Great.
They took a whole heckin' chunk out of my colon, and I spent the rest of the week and the weekend in the hospital and got discharged on Sunday. Thankfully, as I say, like, I'm pretty healthy outside of my cancer. So, like, I recovered pretty quickly overall. But they found evidence of cancer in a small but significant portion of my lymph nodes. So they're like, we're going to need to send you to chemotherapy to make sure it's all gone. And this kind of going back to the overall like runaround that I gotten, I always think like, if I'd had a better healthcare insurance that let me actually get the tests I needed, would I maybe have avoided needing to go through chemotherapy?
Oh, wow.
And it's like, maybe yes, maybe no, but that's definitely a thought, because like I just went through hell, and if that could have been prevented, like I'm even madder Yeah, and like I'm super lucky that I was going into the hospital regularly and having regular blood checks so that they could find the anemia, right? If I didn't have that, it could very well have been too late, since interestingly, we never got a staging from my doctors, but from our own research, I was likely early stage 3.
Wow.
In that it hadn't spread to my other organs, but the colon itself was quite scary, simply put. I haven't taken a look at the pictures myself. My wife has, and she's like, yeah, you don't need to see this. And I'm like, I don't need to see this. But yeah, so and here's an interesting thing where the transness and the other healthcare intersects. So when I was in the hospital, for the most part, my nurse team was very good. A lot of folks were, I was pretty quiet. I wasn't really like making a big fuss or anything. I was taking it in stride. If I've learned anything, it's that I am very stoic about pain, apparently. I just kind of grit my teeth and push through it. But one of the nurses would very, very insistently misgender me all the time. And that was infuriating. And she was kind of like one of the main nurses that was caring for me. So I'm like, so if you're doing this, what else are you doing? Like, she was the one who had to, because they put me on a catheter for the first part of it after the surgery. She was the one who removed it, and that was incredibly painful, which, as I understand, is not supposed to be. So, yeah, it's like, why do I have to put up with this? Like, just, again, I am what I am. Accept it and leave me alone.
Yeah.
But like, I don't feel like I got great care from her, and I was always very eager to have her out of my room. A friend of mine was in there when I basically, like, I intentionally played off the pain I was having because I didn't want her in my room.
Oh, wow.
So like, I am specifically foregoing treatment for my pain because I don't want to deal with this person.
Wow.
So that was not great. So my friend called me out. She's like, "You're a girl now. You don't get to do stupid shit like that and not have me call you out." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." But I had my reasons. But yeah, and like, my doctor was great, and he went in there, got it. There was never a problem with my pronouns with him. Never a problem with my being trans. It's just like, yeah, you're trans. Okay, we've got it on your shirt. Whatever. We're cutting that out of you either way. So
yeah. That's great.
What's slightly beneath your belly don't really matter to me. What matters is this thing's coming out, and it's coming out soon. So, but yeah, he was great. He came in on Sunday. He's like, "So what say we get you out of here?" And I'm like, "God, yes, I want out." So got out, kind of recovered. And they ran some tests and some biopsies on the tumor they extracted, and that's when they found the evidence in the lymph nodes. So they're like, okay, so you're going to need to have chemotherapy. And thus began my half-year journey of hell medicine, and this is the thing too, like, colon cancer chemotherapy, I am fortunate, incredibly fortunate, in that the cancer I had only required a moderate degree of chemotherapy, which meant that my hair did not go away. The major side effects of that particular regimen, honestly, are still pretty horrific, in that I had very intense neuropathy, especially cold-sensitive neuropathy. So I could not drink cold things. I could not eat cold things. I could not touch cold things. Like,
what time of year was this?
Oh, dead of winter.
Of course, in Seattle.
Yeah.
Gosh. Or in the Seattle area, anyway.
Yeah, I believe I started in December.
Wow.
Like, right before Christmas. I actually had to skip Christmas because some of my relatives were sick, and I was immunocompromised, so I couldn't go.
Right.
And so that sucked a lot. Especially just because I'm half Vietnamese. I have a big Vietnamese family. I'm very close with them. Hence, I mentioned, like, all of my cousins, right? It sucked not being able to spend time with my family, because that's been something that I've always done, like, every year for my entire life. And I always look forward to it because there's a lot of good food, and, like, my family. It's my family. I love my family, who has consequently also been pretty supportive. Like, my mother struggled a bit. She's from Vietnam. She grew up in Laos. She struggled a bit, but she's got accustomed to it. There was an event where she and my aunt were complaining that I chose a name that wasn't similar to my dead name. I'm like, okay, so I know that this has been accepted because they're complaining about the circumstances around it instead of the thing itself. So like that is a sign that my transit has been accepted. So this is good. But yeah, I didn't get to see my family, and that really hurt.
Yeah.
Because I was immunocompromised, and it wasn't safe for me. So 6 months of this, where like every 2 weeks I need to go in and I get an infusion. So I have to sit in a chair for like 3 hours as they're pumping poison into me. And like the medicines make you tired, but they also pump you with the steroids so that like I would have the really bad restless leg syndrome while also being absolutely exhausted.
Oh no.
And you just feel gross. It's like not only do you have just had your colon taken out, so that's going to affect certain bodily functions, we shall say, but the medicine itself also makes you prone to UTIs and constipation. So
no.
That plus on top of the colon, I had to very, very rigidly manage my med cycle, and I got some really bad UTIs during it because just I was super vulnerable. One on the way out, which very uncool of you, chemotherapy, to like on my last treatment. After that, I had one of the worst UTIs I've ever had. And it was just abysmal and like so much pain. I was on like antibiotics for 7 days, and that cleared it up pretty quickly. But like, way to go, chemo. You knifed me one last time.
One last punch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a combination of two drugs. And actually, the oxaliplatin, which was what causes that intense cold neuropathy, that actually got taken out a little over halfway through my treatment. And that made it a lot more bearable because I could start to drink cold things again. Like for the first part of the treatment, even room temperature water would be painful for me. So like I was eating a lot of fruit and like room temperature Jell-O or like canned fruits, just doing anything I could to keep myself hydrated. Because also, if you didn't hydrate well, you were more prone to those other side effects I just mentioned.
Right.
And your life would get hellishly miserable. So I had to find ways to hydrate. And I was constantly like, even with all this fruit, like it was hard and I wasn't really quite making it. And we had like this whole system and like I couldn't even stick my hand in the freezer. So I couldn't really touch frozen food, which me with chemotherapy, my wife working outside of the house, it was really hard. I'm super lucky because the Starbucks job, which I'm still contracting with them right now, was 100% remote. So like I was working during my chemotherapy. So like I'm sitting in this chair for 3 hours and I'm just on my laptop at work, despite the fact that I'm fighting the medicine, trying to put me to sleep and also like just trying to keep focus. It was difficult, but you know, that's the thing too. It's super expensive. So like I'm going to be paying this off for a while. Yeah. And that's, you know, screwed my finances over, right? Because we've got all of these thousands of dollars of bills that insurance didn't cover, despite the fact that insurance is supposed to cover most of it. There's always the extra surcharges and the network stuff. It's rough. I know that they say, you know, even with insurance, cancer can just financially destroy you. And I believe it. Like, we're very lucky in that we do make quite a bit of money. But even with the amount of money we make, like, I'm going to be pulling us out of this cancer debt for a long time, probably a few years at least. The chemotherapy just makes you feel off, right? Like you're kind of sick. And it's that general kind of like, I just feel gross. I feel disgusting. I don't want to do anything. I don't have the energy, but I still got to work. I got to pay for all of this. Got to pay my rent, got to pay my bills. So I guess this is how we're doing it. I'm super, super lucky in that I have the professional experience to be able to, and the professional connections. Like when the folks at Starbucks heard that I was looking for work, they're like, hey, come back. You know, we loved you the first time and we'd love to have you again. And we can work around your cancer schedule. Just let us know.
Yeah.
And not everyone has that. And I don't know how I would have done this if I had like a retail position.
Oh,
like,
gosh,
no way.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably have just died. And that's kind of a travesty.
what changes would you like to see in our system to make healthcare better?
I mean, obviously, the fact that we have to pay so much, even when we have insurance, is, in my opinion, beyond the pale. Our insurance system is just messed up. And I mean, ideally, we would have single payer healthcare, but I don't foresee that happening in my lifetime. So if I were, I'll put on my game designer hat here, if I were designing a system based around kind of the guidelines that we're already under, what I would like to see is a federal action to shore up the ACA for uninsured people and much harder restrictions on billing the in-network versus out-of-network, I think needs to be addressed legislatively because it's just so much more expensive. And I think some of my healthcare within Swedish was in-network and some of it wasn't, which is absurd, frankly. Yeah. Like, it's all the same people. What's going on here? Because I think my imaging, for example, is considered out-of-network because I went to Swedish Radio for my imaging, which is kind of a necessary part of this whole procedure. But for some reason, Swedish Radio is not, whereas Swedish Medical or Swedish Cancer Center is. It's like, that's weird. I think that would be a big legislative goal for a friendlier Congress than we have now, is to address a lot of the kind of hidden costs of healthcare, a lot of which is related to like how they treat in versus out of network. Copays,
the transparency
minimums.
Of prices would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Just being able to say, okay, this is what it's going to cost you to do this right up front would be great. Even like being able to say, okay, if there's an emergency and something happens, obviously this is going to change, but like having an upfront cost for something would be great.
Yeah. And also, our healthcare prices are out of control in this country because the insurance has this whole game of like trying to deny and like haggle coverage. Hospitals, as I understand, have responded by jacking their prices up with the understanding that the insurance is going to try and haggle them down. So in the theoretical world, the hospital is treating every healthcare price like the opening of a negotiation, which, as a procurement specialist, this is not something that you want. This is a very bad position to be in because it is inefficient and it just causes much more work for everyone. But also, people who don't have insurance get ultra mega turbo screwed because
and it costs
they don't
lives.
Have that negotiating power. So they just get slapped with that horrendously inflated bill and then they go bankrupt and die.
Yeah.
And that is a travesty.
Indeed. Yeah, especially all of the GoFundMes for people's healthcare. I mean, I've had a GoFundMe for my healthcare. It's truly a shame that that sort of thing is necessary in our country, for sure. What community support do you feel you had during your cancer treatment versus what do you think should exist for people in your situation?
For me, I just leaned on my friends and family a bit. Like, I got an outpouring of support. Everyone sent me DoorDash cards, which was really nice.
Aww.
Like, we had hundreds of dollars in DoorDash cards just like pouring in on us when I first got my diagnosis, which I really appreciated. And my friends were like, I would try and see people as I was able, and they were very good about, masking and like telling me if they were sick, we would reschedule or whatever. And like, I couldn't do as much as I wanted. I am an extrovert. I love people. I love seeing people. I want people all around me all the time. I leech energy from people being around. Psychic vampire style, apparently. I get super hype when I'm around, like, especially people I care about. So I had a lot of friends who were very good about like coming to see me. And we worked a convention around my birthday. So I took a week off chemo to go to this convention. Convention sucked too. Profits were terrible.
Oh no!
We made no money. We actually had to pull out of the convention, which another story. Very depressing because like this is the convention where we first met in person.
Aww.
But like, yeah, their current vendor space is just it's bad. It's so bad.
Oh.
But before that, we had a birthday dinner. And like we maxed out the reserve capacity of that of that restaurant. And there were
that's awesome.
several friends who couldn't make it too. So like, but we still had a full list of like, I think we ended up with like 12 or 14 people. Everyone came out just to see us. They're fighting over covering the bill for me, which like didn't have to do. I do appreciate the gesture though. One of my friend's current coworkers actually got like, he had to leave early, so he just sneakily paid it on the way out. And some other friends were so mad. So that was really funny. But like they all came out to see me. My
husband's family is exactly like that. They will fight each other.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I'm surprised they've not thrown punches over like trying to pay the bill.
I'm Vietnamese, so like I'm used to this too. My dad's actually my dad is not Vietnamese. My mother is. My dad's Scottish, and we Scots don't like spending money. But my dad is very good at picking up the tab. Like he has learned. But it was really nice. And the hospital actually had a lot of programs. Like there's a social worker who would come by. For me, just I guess, and this is probably part and parcel of my personality. They're like, "Can we do anything for you?" And I'm like, "Well, really, the only thing I want is to not have to do chemo anymore, and that's just not going to happen." So, not really. I appreciate it.
It's nice that they had it at least.
Yeah, absolutely. One time, because I had an employee. Like an actual full-time employee, and he does like music therapy, so he would go around and play music for people. So he stopped by once, and that was kind of fun. I was like, "Oh, well, I like jazz." He was like, "Oh, I don't really do jazz, but I'll try." And he tried. It was very cute. But they had programs in place. I didn't honestly lean on them, especially too because like I know I am very privileged in that I have access to resources and I have a great social system and stuff like that. So I would generally be like, "Oh, I'm fine, just go help the people who need it." But they were still very attentive, which I appreciated. The chemotherapy, like the nurses at the cancer center are tremendous. Like they're all amazing. I just went back in for a follow-up and like I got one of the nurses I'd always had. She was super happy to see me. The fact that I have blue hair probably like helps make me recognizable, but like I have blue hair and I'm not super like loud or complaining or anything. I'm just kind of there. Like I would work on my laptop or like I finally I had enough sick time through my agency accumulated. So I just took the final 4-ish treatments off. So then I would just bring a book and read. I read through like an entire long-running light novel series up to its English release during my chemotherapy. So that's been kind of nice getting back to reading a bit more. Yeah, just because I was super quiet and, I just did my own thing. The nurses seemed to love me. So that was really nice. But they're very good there. Like even with some of the rougher patients, I would hear interactions and they're very skilled at what they do. Generally first class care. So wish it didn't cost me so much, but I'm glad I had it.
Yeah, I get that. My favorite part about going to the hospital for getting treatments in the past is they had pet therapy and they brought dogs in and they were so nice. Sweet. Oh my gosh. I just had the best time petting the dogs. And I was like in this neck cuff, so I couldn't like bend down very much. So they let the dog like get up so that I could pet it. It was so sweet. I was like, if I have to be here, at least there's a dog.
I don't know if that probably isn't something they can do at the cancer, just because we are all immunocompromised.
Yeah.
And animals
still, it was really cool.
Yeah. But that sounds like a wonderful therapy. I would have definitely pet dogs if I could.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell anybody who might be going through the same thing that you've gone through? Or anything that you wish you'd known before beginning this whole journey?
So I can speak to colon cancer specifically. The cold intolerance and the cold neuropathy is no joke. I am still having neuropathy. That particular medicine, oxaliplatin, which they did take me off of before my full treatment was finished, which I am still experiencing lingering neuropathy. And I know this medicine can't cause permanent neuropathy. So if you are going through it, be very communicative with your healthcare team about the side effects that you're experiencing so that they can assess you properly. That medicine is nasty. It ravaged my body, and I'm hoping that this will clear up eventually. But, it sucks. I'll have buzzing in my feet. My feet will go numb. And I'm about a month out of treatment right now. So I'm like, this is going to be a new normal. This is going to go away eventually. I don't know that. Due to the nature of some of these treatments, it can really, really mess you up permanently. So you need to be very attentive and you need to be talking to your doctor all the time. And because I was trying to just be stoic and just deal with it, I was probably not as communicative as I should have been. I was like, oh, well, I guess this is just normal. This is my life now. So I don't need to put up with this. So I guess don't be afraid to complain a little because there may be something serious in there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and if you are dealing with cold intolerance, I just recently learned of this product. I don't know if I've not tried it myself, so I don't know if it's any good or not, but these little like jellies that are like almost like candies that have electrolytes in them so that you can get hydrated without having to have like a liquid for specifically dementia patients or people with Alzheimer's to make sure that they get hydrated properly because you forget to drink water unless you're actively thirsty. And it seems like a really cool product, especially for that population. But I mean, with that medication, that might actually be a great solution.
Yeah, that sounds super helpful.
Yeah, and for POTS symptoms too.
He might be the way to do it. So hopefully, not a lot more people will have to put up with this if there are better treatments.
Yeah,
but yeah, especially if you have to go on oxaliplatin, like look into that. That sounds actually very handy. I had so much trouble drinking even water.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with the POTS symptoms I've been dealing with, like trying to keep my electrolytes up constantly has been a struggle because I'm trying not to eat like a bunch of unhealthy, salty foods, but like just constantly have to be drinking Gatorade or something to not pass out is, it's a lot.
Yeah, I bet. I don't like Gatorades. That would be a problem for me.
Yeah, there are a lot of products out there now, thankfully, because like it seems like the industry is finally kind of picking up on the fact that electrolytes can be used to treat chronic illness.
Yeah.
And it's getting cheaper, which is great. Yeah, no kidding. And so there are actually comparisons out of like Reddit and stuff like that are showing like how much it costs per gram of electrolytes that are in the product. And like
Reddit,
comparisons
giving us good answers for things and wrecking AI, generative AI at the same time.
Yeah, it's great because just having that cost comparison and then also saying, okay, well, the one that costs like second to least expensive has the best flavors. So you really want to go with that one. And it's so helpful. But yeah, for future reference, those jelly things, I wish I knew the name of them, but I'm sure if you Googled jelly electrolytes, they looked actually quite appetizing. So who knows?
You know, especially like I was doing everything I could to hydrate and I was still coming up short. So if something like that works, that would be tremendously helpful.
Well, unless you have anything to add, I think we can stop there. And it was so nice having you. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you letting me be your inaugural episode. Hopefully that'll do well and people will be interested in my dealing with cancer.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the point of all this is to help share people's stories so that others who are in a similar situation don't feel so alone. Because it can be so lonely to be, a cancer patient, a chronic pain patient, anything really.
It also too just emphasizes the wild disparity in care between regions. It's like, again, I'm super lucky. I live in Seattle, which is a healthcare hub, and I have a good paying job, and like I have insurance. So like, I know my experience would have been way different if I lived like in the South, for example.
Yeah, it is interesting to emphasize that between like the Northwest and the Southeast. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of comparisons too between like socioeconomic status too. And, cisgender versus transgender people dealing with the healthcare system as well. So I'm really interested to get,
like, I'm pretty thin, right? Like, weight wise, I'm actually a bit higher than I'd like to be, but like in terms of body and look, I'm ideal or whatever. So like that gets me things that people who struggle with weight don't.
It's amazing how much that blinds people to the actual problem.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I definitely look forward to exploring those disparities and seeing how we can sort of represent a wide breadth of people who have been dealing with the American healthcare system and how we can work to make it better.
There's a lot of work to be done, but if we don't believe we can do it, then we'll never be able to achieve it.
I completely agree with that. I think that there's a long way to go, but doing things like telling our stories is a good step forward in trying to help each other and come together as a community of people who need these services to be better.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Abiding Hysteria. If this conversation has inspired you to tell your healthcare story, please reach out on social media at Abiding Hysteria or email me at abidinghysteria@gmail.com. If you'd like to support our efforts to tell these healthcare stories, become a patron today for only $5 a month at patreon.com/abidinghysteria. You'll get early access as well as uncut versions of every episode with bonus content. Our next episode will release next month, so be sure to follow us at Abiding Hysteria or check out abidinghysteria.com to find out when it drops on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, when it comes to your healthcare, you deserve to be heard, understood, and most of all, believed.